Hi guys, I'm Shmi and today I'm in the absolutely gorgeous Tenerife where we're here for the press launch with the new McLaren 570 GT, the sort of latest in the lineup of sports series cars that McLaren presented at this year's Geneva Motor Show. Well, we're here today. There are a good number of the cars around. In fact, another one's about to drive past us right here in Pacific Blue, which is a lovely colour. I'm not surprised, so you're probably not surprised to hear me say, but I'm going to be filming with this car today in pearl white. I'm going to have a look around the car now, show you some details, talk about it a little bit, and then we'll be taking it for a drive on a closed road. So that's going to be quite a lot of fun before we head back to our hotel. Now, where we are at the moment is quite interesting. We're at the observatory at the very top of Tenerife. The clouds are below us and the roads here are spectacular. The sky is very, very blue and it's quite nice and warm, which is obviously a very nice place to be test driving a car. We're 2,000 meters or so altitude. But let's take a look at this. So, 570 GT, what is it and how does it compare to the 570S and the 540C? Well, the S is of course the more sports-focused coupe. This car has a hatchback. It's got the same 3.8 litre twin-turbo V8 engine, 570 PS, 600 Newton meters of torque, the same 7-speed dual-clutch SSG gearbox, but the biggest difference visually is here on the rear deck, where you've got this hatchback with an additional 220 litres of luggage capacity. The previous car had the sort of floating C-pillars and a flatter rear deck, and here we've also got a slightly enlarged rear spoiler to create the additional downforce that's lost by the sort of shape of the car. This car's spec'd very nicely. It's got the carbon pack with the diffuser, the side skirts and the aero pits around the front. It's got ceramic brakes and the optional super lightweight wheels, diamond cut finish as well. I'm going to show you the interior. Saddle tan interior. Tan goes well on the white. The by design McLaren configuration. But just like the 570S, we've got this lower carbon fibre tub. 75 kilo carbon fibre tub, so you could literally sort of pick it up from the back end with the lower sort of entry here, so you can swing your legs in and out a little bit more easily. But I'll show you around the interior in more detail after my little drive in the car. For now, actually, I'm going to show you in the hatch, because that is basically what this car is about. So you've got the buttons here, one for the front boot, one for the rear boot. Come and have a look in here. It opens side to side. Different sides for different markets. So this car is a left-hand drive federal specification car, hence the sort of indicators around the car and the different lights. But on a press launch you have cars from all different regions. In fact, you can see the first silver car is a European spec, the second silver car is an American federal spec. But in here you've got this sort of area you can place your luggage, you can place a picnic hamper, and in fact coming here today we bought picnic hampers. We've just had lunch up there at the top and fit, you know, some extra luggage up there. So really enlarging the space that you have over the front. Close it back down, come round to the front. Now also, just like the 570S, there's no catch. You literally just lift it up. Very easy mechanism, and you've got a decent amount of space in here as well. Cigarette socket as well, I noticed on the back. But you can fit some good things in there too. Close it down and give it a click. We've got some nice features like soft closed doors. If I drop it down, pulls in gently, and a new look 570 GT badge with the GT in silver, where the S has it in red. The different cars have them in different sort of colour configurations. The LT orange. So this car, what's different? 570 GT against 570S. A couple of key things. First, I'm going to start with the ride. This car is a little bit softer. 15% reduced springs at the rear, 10% at the front. Steering rack, slightly slower, 2%. Arguably not strictly noticeable, but it makes it a little bit more of a GT configuration. Exhaust, 3 decibels quieter. So obviously for cruising, it's a little bit quieter. You can opt for the sports exhaust, which is the same exhaust as the 570S. Or and on the 570S, you can opt for one above that too. With MSO, you can pretty much do anything though, customize the car completely. One sort of visual difference actually. On the 570S, you often see this part with a carbon fibre finish, which is available as an option, but by default it's painted body colour. So yes, it's a good looking car. We've actually been for a little drive on the way up here. I've been riding shotgun, but I'm looking forward to now jumping behind the wheel and taking it down the hill. So let's jump in, show you the key quickly. Well, it's got the number plate written on the back, but it's a new key design versus the 650S and the 675 and the P1. I'll step in, which is easier of course now, where you're greeted by the displays, if you can just about see them. With the sunshine today, you've got the floating iris navigation system, active dynamics panel down here, but let's press the start button and bring it to life. Now immediately it is a bit quieter than the 570S. That's instantly recognisable to me. But let's take it for a drive. We've got this closed road. This should be quite fun. And we also have an MSO 675 LT Spider here today as well. I'm going to be playing with the LT Spider tomorrow, my first drive, before I take delivery of mine around a month from now. This car has a number of options from MSO, like the carbon fibre roof and the louvres on the front quarters. Okay, back to the 570 GT. Alrighty, let's talk 570 GT on what is a fairly spectacular road. So obviously I've got everything in the completely normal standard settings to start. That's always the way to do this, just to make sure you can get a feel of the car. And this bit of the road is a little bit bumpy. You can probably slightly hear that, but the car is soaking it up very nicely, and that's the big difference with 570S. This is just a touch softer riding on that kind of road. Now obviously you do have the ability to dial all of that up, and I will get to that very shortly. The active dynamics panel, playing with all of the settings, and just getting it all up and running and dialed in a little bit. Now I am going to have to turn up the air conditioning quite dramatically, because it is absolutely boiling here, and I've also got to watch out for a few things that have fallen off the rocks. But the car initially just feels lovely. There's nothing lost over 570S in the sense of the sort of basic ride. Obviously the car is very well equipped. It's slightly more expensive. It's about £11,000 more expensive at £154,000 base price. This car has some other options as well I didn't mention. It's got the GT upgrade pack, which includes a couple of things. You've got the 12-speaker Bowers & Wilkins stereo, which is fairly phenomenal. You've got the nose lift, you've got the reversing camera, so you've got all the sort of creature comforts that you could want in the car. And I'm just beaming because this road is fantastic. I'm rather hot in here under a very bright sun with a panoramic roof. It does have the tint of the panoramic roof from the P1, so it's the same sort of level of light and heat, but it is a spectacularly hot day today. So, car driving so far, very fun, very sort of chilled, I would say. You know, it's quieter, you can tell it's quieter, more relaxed, more sort of chilled out drive, and that's supposed to, you know, that's what it's supposed to be. It's the GT. So I'm going downhill, so I'm taking it pretty easy as we roll down these corners on a pretty awesome road here in Tenerife. I didn't really sort of consider quite how good the roads here were going to be. You've got a couple of rougher bits like that, but it just soaks them up, drives over it, and away you go again. And I guess sort of spurt the gearbox, spurt the power away, and the gearbox does its thing, incredibly relaxed, and on you go. The power just builds up. Now when we get to the sort of settings and putting it into sport mode, I'll also play a little bit with the traction, because traction with McLaren, because the cars are so light and they have so much power, they sort of restrict, and you have almost sort of not turbo lag but traction lag, where the power is sort of restrained by the traction control, just to make sure that you're safe, because let's face it, these are spectacularly fast and powerful cars. You know, the top speed of this car, 204 miles per hour, 328 kilometers per hour. That's a pretty big number. You know, nobody's going to tell you that it does not have enough power, especially for a GT sort of cruiser kind of car. And wow, I'm hot in here, absolutely boiling right now. Need to get the air conditioning turned up even more. And we'll find a place to turn around, and then we will dial up the settings on the way back up the hill. It would certainly have helped my life if I had the air conditioning set right, but it is at least now on, which is all controlled through the Iris entertainment system, just like the 675LT. So let's press active, turn on the active dynamics panel, and initially that's not going to do anything because everything's set in normal. I'm going to put the handling mode into sport, which will firm the suspension and give us a more engaging drive. I'm going to put the powertrain also into sport mode, which will obviously increase throttle response and faster shifts and everything on that front, except I'm also, when I'm out of the corner, going to press manual because I like to take control myself. And now we get to enjoy the car and push it on and see how it feels when we're driving a little bit more aggressively and really trying to make the most of it. So it's still got a lot of points, of course. It's very, very nimble. It feels like a small car. Now there was an example of the traction lag. Because traction is in the completely normal mode, it kept power back. It sort of felt a little bit like turbo lag, but that's just to make sure, you know, people are safe and sensible. I can press the ESC button, one quick tap, and it will go into dynamic mode, which is the same as on the 675LT as well. So this should be quite fun. Let's just push on through a few corners. And I know what you'll all say, because when you're watching this, why don't you go to the red line? Well, find me a straight, and then I will make the most of it. Let's give it a go. Ceramic brakes, very strong. Very, very strong. That's fantastic. Obviously quite an expensive option, they always are, but with that kind of feel, you wouldn't say no, would you, if you could? Wonderful, wonderful brake feel on there. Steering feels just up there with 570S. I mean, obviously it's not quite as pointy, but it's certainly good. You would be foolish to dismiss it. So, Sport Series, obviously we've got the carbon tab, so you can feel that it's barely flexing as we go around the corners and we push on. So let's just get on through a couple more corners and then we will try out the track mode. Goodness. It does push you back into the seats. There is no question, power in here is fantastic. There is more than enough available. Woohoo! And we're going uphill as well, of course, you've got to remember that too. Lots of grip. I'm not feeling at all like there's a problem on that front. We're running on the P0 tyres. Slightly softer tyre, quieter tyre for the 570 GT as well. But this is pretty fun, and knowing the road's clear is pretty spectacular as well. Although obviously I'm still going to be spectacularly careful just in case. This is awesome. Alright, let me quickly now put it into track mode on the powertrain, which gives us a new look to the rev counter as well. It's very P1-esque, horizontal display. It goes all the way up to the sort of near 8,500 rev limiter of the engine. You really, really do feel the turbo is pulling in as you get up there though. It's quite a sensation, and it's an interesting comparison thinking about this because price point wise, 570 GT is not too dissimilar from the sort of used market of 650S, which is obviously a lot more focused, but the same story goes for the 570S as well. This has the sort of traditional anti-roll bar suspension setup rather than the hydraulic system. Oh, we get shift lights as well. It's nice in this setup. Track mode. Feeling it there, that's exciting. Yeah, there's a lot of character in this car, and let's pop it into a track on the handling as well. Just has to adjust, change the driving modes. Oh, excuse me, losing my voice there. And, oh, it's firmer. I can definitely tell from the word go, we've got a firmer ride here. Much firmer ride. We get green, red, and then blue shifting lights. McLaren are not anticipating that 570 GTA drivers are going to spend very much time on the track. Oh, those brakes, that's stunning. But obviously some customers will take them, and I can tell you now, it's going to be a wonderful car to drive at the track, for sure. My word. A little bit firm for sort of daily use, but on a fairly smooth road, this is delightful. This is absolutely glorious. What a car. What a fantastic car. I really want one. It's like the one supercar that you could use use for everything. It's a comfortable, smooth, gentle, daily driving car, but with that much power and excitement available. And I'm reaching back towards the top now, so I'm going to steady off a little bit, pop it back into, I guess, a more comfortable mode. In fact, maybe just turn active off completely. Reflect on that. What an awesome, fun machine to be driving. What an absolutely awesome machine. And bringing it to this kind of environment, the perfect place for a car like this. A true delight. So we're going to swap around a bit now and chill on our way back towards the hotel, where we've got some more driving roads to enjoy too. But I've got a lot of smiles on my face. The car has all the characteristics you want in that kind of environment. A lot of fun, a lot of excitement, but then also when we're driving on the motorway, it's very, very chilled, relaxed, and it's a proper GT. Exactly what it's supposed to be. Awesome. Well done. As we drive on what is a spectacular road now, with the volcano in front of us, following another 570 GT. In fact, James is the one holding the camera.
This whole experience is putting a massive grin on my face.
Yeah, and we've got Sam and Seb in the car in front of us. This is pretty spectacular. This is a lot of fun. What amazing roads and what amazing scenery we've been driving through today, and what a brilliant car to be doing it in. We've made our way back down now to the hotel, the Ritz-Carlton Obama, where we're staying in Tenerife, and the cars all sort of will be parked up here, then taken off and prepared, ready for future drives and other activities. There are also other cars available for test drives while we're here, which is a great way to do it on a launch event. But let's talk 570 GT. So this has been a really enjoyable car, and I enjoyed the 570S a lot when I went to the launch there in Portugal, and the GT is just a slightly different take, obviously, on a very similar platform. It's an additional car that sits alongside in the same line. It's not a replacement, it's not a new model, it's a new variety into the line. Now, obviously, I'm a big fan of McLarens. You know that. I owned a 12-seat, a 650S, an LT, and the LT Spider. So I'm going to be a big fan of the way it drives, the gearbox, the setup, the chassis, the carbon tub, the engine. It's a brilliant package and a lovely car to drive. I love the looks of this. I love the sort of concept and idea of the rear hatch. It may be slightly quirky, but it's a lot of fun. The existence of it is wonderful. The finish inside is great, and obviously you've got a lot of luggage capacity with 100 odd litres in the front and just over 200 in the back. I think the slightly softer suspension isn't necessarily my cup of tea, but then that's not what the car's going at. I'm a 570S man. In fact, I'm an LT man. I like the hardcore, proper driver's car. But what has perhaps surprised me is quite how much fun this can also be. It goes both ways. It's got the softer ride, the quieter ride, but it's also got the intense excitement when you're actually pushing it on, like you saw earlier. Let's jump inside, pop the door up, and show you a little bit more. Now, interesting point is you open the door, the seat moves back and down, so it's easier to get in and out. All these sort of comfort features going on with the car. I'm just going to start it up because it's absolutely boiling here. And we've basically run out of fuel. But just look at, say, the digital displays in front of us. We've got all this information, the screens, they're absolutely lovely things to be looking at. If I press active on the active dynamics panel and turn it into track, you can see the change in the dial there and how it looks. If I press OK on the menu, it'll get rid of the fuel level warning. There we go. On the right, you have your tyre temps and pressures, and everything shows here as well while you're driving. So you've got lots of information, lots of things to sort of look at, experience and enjoy. This car, you've got the extended shifter paddles. These are brilliant, they're the same as the LT. You have the same precog system, so you do this half pull and then the final click. So the half pull prepares the gearbox ready for your shift before it clicks in, and you can control either way, so you can go down or up, depending depending how you want to do it. The car has all the technologies. It has your brake steer. You can hear the fans going crazy. I hope actually you've been able to hear me while I've been talking about precog. It has brake steer as well, so obviously we've got the ceramics, but whether you have the ceramics or the steel brakes, it will brake the inside rear wheel to help pull you around the corner. It's a technology that works brilliantly, obviously developed from Formula 1, come down to the more normal cars. It's still letting us know the fuel's out. It's really unhappy with me. But obviously you've got all of this, you've got everything that McLaren do absolutely brilliantly in a car that's really comfortable and enjoyable. And it's probably the perfect road trip car. It literally is the perfect road trip car because it will eat up the motorway miles in comfort and quietness, and you won't feel exhausted and drained. And then when you get to the other end, you'll go and hit a nice road, and that's where it sort of comes into the sporty characteristics. Now I think where I would be really interested is the future of McLaren and other derivatives. They've announced Track 22, which is their sort of development project over the next 6 years until 2022, where they have 15 models or varieties of cars coming. And what I wonder is if one of those might be a 570 GTS. So a 570 GT in style and visual appearance, which I think is my preference over the 570S, but perhaps a 570S in terms of driving characteristics, slightly firmer, slightly more aggressive. Like I would like the extra loud, the louder exhaust, the option for that on one of these. Yeah, but I mean there'll be an LT, there'll be a long tail variant, and more hardcore cars as well. But fuel is going quickly. It says 2% now. Hopefully that's not real. So let's shut it off. In the European spec units, you have a button here to open the glove box, but unfortunately federal cars don't have that. But you have things like these door pockets, as per 570S. You can put a water bottle in there. You've got some cup holders down here. You've got a decent armrest storage hole behind us there as well. Buttons for the front and rear boots down here too. And it's just, well, it's just a really nice car. It's lovely inside. It's very well equipped, and it's all very nicely finished too. With the sort of different trim and options by design McLaren finish. Let me jump back out because it's very hot very quickly in this heat. And on the exterior, you've got all the options to change these bits to carbon fibre, different wheel options and the like as well. So yes, it's been a brilliant day. The car has been lovely. I did enjoy listening as we were doing the drive-by stuff to the cars with the sports exhaust fitted, which made slightly louder noise. Well, it's quite noticeable which was which. But this has been brilliant. The car will now go off and be prepared for whoever is driving it next. But I've had a wonderful time, and I hope you've enjoyed that sort of look and first driving impressions with McLaren's 570 GT. As always, make sure you're subscribed. Check out all the other Shmee 150 pages on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And I will catch up with you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Audi have released the upgraded version of the RS6, the RS6 Performance, which is what this. Of course, we've got the Brabus 500, G500 4x4, where they